Come on in. I'm a little bit late here. How late am I? 8 minutes. Within 10. Same as showing up to work. If it's within 10 minutes, still counts as on time. By the way, for anyone joining me for these live streams, I may regularly be like 5 to 10 minutes late. I'm habitually late to everything. How's this lighting looking? I guess this is fine. That'll do. I don't know. It was a long day today. Just mostly working. Made a bunch of videos. I filmed a bunch of stuff on my lunch break and was just literally on that couch right there, editing them earlier. So putting some stuff out. So this turned out pretty cool. But unfortunately, not as much time on this live stream tonight. So we only got 2 jokes tonight. Just 2 jokes coming up. It's going to be a rough one. We do have some breaking news, though, which was pretty crazy. So we'll go over... there's reports that Trump's Air Force One had to turn around, which I almost lost my cool for a second. We'll get into that, some of the other stories from the day. We'll tell my crappy little jokes. I think they're actually decent. What else? I guess let's just... What did I want to say? Let's just start. Live from a studio apartment, this is Misinformation. All right, let me get my finger hovering over the button. That's what he said to her. All right, well, Trump signed an executive order to reopen the asylums today. Yeah, and in Minnesota, 17 Somali-owned asylums popped up in the same building. Yeah. No clients seen as of yet, but they're all there. Competing with one another. They're in a Democrat city, so they should have, theoretically, plenty of people to treat. So, Don Lemon could be facing charges under the KKK Act. Yeah. Or as the KKK is currently known, BLM. Yeah. A long-standing history of racism. I'm not even sure if BLM is currently known. Does anyone know their whereabouts? They seem to have disappeared once they stopped being useful to Democrats in the 2020s. I made a joke about this earlier today in one of the videos, but there's like, it wasn't even a joke. It's just seeing these the ICE protests and everything. There's the running meme with Democrats that they just protest everything. They change the flags, right? But it really is a thing. You forget about it sometimes, right? Because the Democrats are good at picking these sort of wedge issues that you forget it's all contrived, right? And you forget it's all just a ruse to stir up their voter base, right? You forget, oh wait, the midterms are right around the corner. That's why everyone's ramping up the energy with ICE protests and stuff like that, right? But there is like a season to Democrat protests. They're seasonal. Did you know that? They don't happen year round. They happen like every 2 to 4 years. Usually 6 months before an electoral event. That's how you know that the protest season is coming. They did it in 2020 with BLM. They did it in 2024. I don't remember what the midterms were after that. But I know that I think it was just like BLM hangover. But then 2024, it definitely shifted. Like the black thing wasn't working out for them anymore. So they tried shifting to trans rights. And they were doing that for a while. And then they kind of caught on to the Palestine thing, right? Palestine, I still don't know which. So anyways, they went with that. And then now that sort of died out. We haven't heard about that in months, right? Kind of because Trump solved it, right? So they don't want to talk about it no more. So then recently, and I'm not saying that the protests or the feelings are completely inorganic that people on the left have towards ICE agents and whatever they think is happening with their imaginary Gestapo situation with the illegal immigrants, but it wouldn't be this much, it wouldn't be this intense if not for the election season and the Democrats ramping things up. I think you're seeing that from Mayor Frey. I think you're seeing that from Tim Walz. Basically in that sort of haven, I mean, they've basically picked the area of Minnesota that's sort of their stalwart area. It's odd that they sort of did it in the same cities too, right, as the whole BLM movement emerged. How organic is that, right? I mean, it's literally in the same area, and now you have a same sort of protest vibe. It's almost like they know that those are their people that they can get to protest to and will come out. And, you know, like sadly in the case of Renee Good, there'll probably will be some violence because they'll act all crazy, you know. Anyways, let's jump to the top story. So tonight, crazy news just broke right before I got on here. We should talk about it. So there was a report I saw on Twitter, on X, that Air Force One apparently has had to make an emergency landing. And this is still sort of breaking, so I don't know 100% if this information is accurate, but from what I've heard, it was heading to Davos. They have the whole World Economic Forum thing that all of the conservatives believe is the end of the world summit where all the world leaders conspire to take over the world. I don't necessarily believe that, but anyways, he was headed to Davos. He suddenly had to, the plane, Air Force One, had to make a U-turn over the Atlantic and head back to the States. The first tweets I saw were saying that they had no idea what was going on. I did see a later update that it was reported, I guess they released this info, the plane had experienced after takeoff, the Air Force One crew identified a minor electrical issue. Out of an abundance of caution, Air Force One is returning to Joint Base Andrews. The president and team will board a different aircraft and continue on to Switzerland. We'll check for a real-time update here just to see if anything's popping off. But I should probably put the Twitter up too. That would be helpful. Let me adjust this real quick. Let's get that. Safari, perfect. This is whatever's going to pop up on here is completely unrelated. I don't know who that is. We're just taking a look, making sure nothing else is happening with that plane. So these were the tweets I was showing in any case earlier. This was Air Force One. They're just showing a graphic of the flight path that it took as it made a U-turn over the Atlantic, headed back to Joint Base Andrews. Pretty intense. I mean, I heard this news break like 20, 30 minutes ago, and like my gut dropped. You know that feeling? Which is going to get into my main thesis of the night, which is that conservatives have PTSD and Democrats have schizophrenia. That's the theme for tonight. I just, like, the first thing I hear, if you're just joining us now, by the way, we did receive an update on this. So this is according to a press release. They're saying after takeoff, the Air Force One crew identified a minor electrical issue. Out of an abundance of caution, Air Force One is returning to Joint Base Andrews. So I saw this. I was like, this was like, seeing this was like when when Trump got shot. You know, I remember I was at work and I saw, first thing I see is a video of him apparently getting shot and falling, right? So my gut just drops. It's gut wrenching. I'm like, oh my God, no, you know? And then I'm refreshing, and all of a sudden the next video I see is him standing up and fist pumping, right? So I'm like, oh my God, did he survive this? And this is, it's the same feeling here, which is it weird that the first thing I think when I think here that Air Force One has turned around over the Atlantic, the first thing that pops into my head is like, was there an assassin on the plane? I don't even think about a health issue. I'm just like, what happened? It must be bad. Because I feel like conservatives just have this, and I don't think that the left truly grasps this, but if you're a conservative, having seen Trump get shot, right, that was tough to go through. And then the whole Charlie Kirk thing. I mean, that's traumatic, right? So now anytime anything, I mean, I think we just sort of go about our lives with this this kind of underlying fear that something really bad is going to happen or is bound to happen. It's like a form of PTSD, right? And then meanwhile, and this ties back into my theory, Democrats have schizophrenia. That's their health issue. They live in a world where they shouldn't have to be afraid of anything, but they are afraid of everything, right? I mean, we live in a world, we see ICE agents who are coming in to remove literally just people who illegally snuck into the country, no civil rights violations and removing them. They just should go back out and come back in the right way, and that'd be fine, right? Democrats see an imaginary Gestapo that is rounding up people of color, specifically, who are their neighbors, their fellow citizens, who have every right to be in this country as anyone who was born in the country or came into the country, right? So here's some Democrat stories with schizophrenia. Here's a good example right out of the gate. This was on Twitter earlier today. I guess there was a liberal woman. I don't know where she's at. Maybe, Minneapolis it says. And she's made a video to her mom, a farewell message to her mom in case she's executed by ICE in Minneapolis. Here it is.
I want you to know a couple things. First, I don't carry weapons on me.
Hold on.
This is a message from my mom. If I am executed by ICE officers today, it will not be because of anything that I did.
If she is executed by ICE officers, it absolutely will be from some dumb shit she did. I can promise you that. I don't know what it is, but I can guarantee you that will be the reason.
I want you to know a couple things. First, I don't carry weapons on me. Second, I won't be holding any signs. There will be no indication from me that I'm a violent person or a threat to anyone.
Third, I might drive my car into one of them. On accident.
Do not plan on following anyone. I do not plan on screaming or shouting or even speaking to anyone. I am there to observe and document.
Well, then you should be fine, right? But in the Democrat mind that suffers from schizophrenia, right, sort of enforcing a PTSD upon themselves that they don't really need to have, because no one from their side has been assassinated in cold blood, right? She's preparing for her own murder. I mean, is she aware that... I mean, you can... the Renee Good thing is controversial. You could look at it and say, gosh, was it too quick? Did this happen? But it's pretty clear she did disobey a lawful order and she struck an ICE agent at some point, right? It's not like it happened like a cold-blooded murder out of nowhere. Now, you can say, hey, again, was the officer too quick? Should it have happened differently? All valid points. But she's acting like literally someone walked up with nothing having happened and murdered somebody, which is clearly isn't the case, right? So these are Democrat schizophrenia. There's another example. I guess there was an ICE agent, and this liberal woman was yelling at him to show her the warrant because he's trying to arrest or find one of her neighbors. She demands to see the warrant. You can see his reaction here and some of her schizo.
You know what we're looking for? You want to know?
You have a warrant? I'd love to see it.
I do.
Okay, can I see it?
Who are you?
Can I see it?
Are you related?
I
to
live
the person?
here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that mean that you get to see
Okay, do you have a warrant? I'd like to see it. I can put it on video.
No.
Oh, you don't? So you don't have...
Already out the gate, so annoying, but we'll continue.
I have a warrant, but I'm not going to show you.
Why not?
Because you're nobody.
Okay.
That's great right there, by the way. Just flat out because you're a nobody. Because you're nobody, right? Which is part of the Democrat schizophrenia. It's in what world are you just allowed to demand a warrant from something you're not even involved in with a federal officer trying to remove some type of criminal? You have no idea what they did or if it's just coming into the country illegally or if they're a sex offender.
You're here because the office is closed, right?
No. We're here because we're looking for...
You're here because the office is closed. You don't have permission to be here.
You know what he did? You want to know what he did? Lula Civis County was a minor.
You want to know what your president did? He's a rapist. You need to go look for that motherfucker.
Yeah.
And there's the schizophrenia coming out. Now, she lives in a world, okay, where the president of the United States is, in her mind, a proven rapist, right? That is a schizophrenic world, right? And you can see why she's getting so aggressive with these ICE agents who I assume she believes are a Gestapo force, right? So it just calls back to the theory. If you're just joining us now, Air Force One, we had reports earlier today. I mean, not earlier today, this was like 30 minutes ago. Had to turn around over the Atlantic. It was headed to Davos, World Economic Forum. The reporting in is that it was just a minor electrical issue. That's the story so far. I mean, this just broke about an hour ago, so we don't know full details, but they're bringing it back. They're supposedly getting on another plane and going. So it sounds like everything's okay. But when this news broke, I was saying, I immediately went to where is the assassin on the plane? What's happening? Was he poisoned? Because I have PTSD. Right? Conservatives have PTSD. Liberals have schizophrenia. Conservatives have PTSD. They have an actual reason to be nervous about stuff with Charlie Kirk and Trump getting shot. Okay, what else we got tonight? We'll go into this. So the House has officially launched an investigation into Ilhan Omar's net worth. What do you guys think about that? Feel free to chat, by the way. I don't know 100% if these YouTube messages will come through. See if you get these. Hey, what's up? I'm using a streaming service that streams to multiple platforms, so sometimes it won't pick up the chat messages of certain platforms or something, but you can try it out there. So yeah, what do you guys think of this? Ilhan Omar, do we think she's... So if you haven't heard, basically her net worth, she supposedly 4 years ago was negative 65,000, or maybe it was 65,000 net worth. In the past year, her husband, who she recently remarried with this guy, his business supposedly went from a valuation of $1 million to $30 million, right? Which is allegedly how her net worth has expanded. And yet, when you look into what his business has done, there's nothing that would warrant that large of a reevaluation. Literally, you can ask AI, you can ask Grok. It's I don't know. I'm looking at it. He owns a winery, or he did at some point. Now it's a consulting firm. Neither of those two businesses have actually expanded in any meaningful ways that would increase the valuation. So I don't know if she's directly involved in the Somali fraud scandal stuff. I don't know if in other words, I don't know that you're going to see a direct paper trail or not of donations going towards her and being placed somewhere else. It's possible, but we don't have any of those details yet, right? But it does beg the question, how are you worth so much money? For what? I understand you're a congresswoman. I understand your husband owns what's apparently a crappy wine business and a crappy consulting firm, but it's not just her. It's politicians like Nancy Pelosi. They get into these jobs and all of a sudden they explode in wealth. And it's there's no real direct... They're not business owners. They're not doing anything incredible. They're just Congress people who should have a nice but modest still for their position salary. If I were a congressperson, I would expect to make what is it, $200K a year basically, which is really nice. And I don't think I'd care. I think I'd be happy with that. But these guys go in and they gotta get 30 million, and it doesn't make any sense. Doesn't add up. So I'm interested to see how the fraud investigation goes. It would be crazy if she were actually involved. If I had to guess, I don't think you'll see a direct tie between the feeding our future thing and money being shuffled to her, but it's possible. It's just that's a little bit too transparent of a fraud for me. Although I think it was, who's the Democrat we recently saw who is being investigated for some very real fraud, where I think it's Jasmine Crockett, but I'm not sure of the exact name, where she actually got an overpayment for a charity from the government. that they were running, and she kept the overpayment and like bought a ring with it and funneled it into different accounts. So it's possible, but I haven't heard anything like that about Ilhan Omar, so we'd have to wait and see on this one. Other news today, Christine Noem says that there are arrests coming tonight, she says, supposedly in the St. Paul church storming, or what I'm calling the Don Lemon case, colloquially. I'm going to attach his name to it. I hate Don Lemon so much. He's so annoying. Not even for this, just for how annoying he was on CNN and biased. Now, Don Lemon, if he heard me say that, he would say, oh, it's a gay black thing. It's because I'm a gay black man. No, I hated Chris Cuomo just as much. And he's a gay white man. You know, but it's just the bias. And it is interesting to me now that after he's left CNN, now you can really see just how biased Don Lemon actually was. I do think that he did not suddenly materialize into this church situation of his own volition. I do think that this was a coordinated plan from the Democrats to ramp up the provocations amongst conservatives to try to force Trump's hand in using the Insurrection Act. Because they would love nothing more than to get Trump to do that so that they could spend the next 10 months saying how this dictator sent U.S. military troops into a city. And I'm sure whatever happens after that, there probably would be something weird that happens. Perhaps something unexpected. I'm sure they'd love nothing more than that. So yeah, I do think that this was staged by higher powers than Don Lemon himself. Although we haven't heard anything about that so far. But hopefully an arrest will help ferret out that information. Be useful just for those purposes alone. See who's funding it. Who is funding these things, you know? So she says that. Different bit of a story tonight. There was, I saw this on X today. Apparently there were 4 rideshare drivers in the Houston area, in the same city, who drive primarily for Uber, who've been federally indicted on kidnapping charges. They're accused of targeting intoxicated female passengers, diverting routes, and sexually assaulting them. Four different drivers, all in the same area. I think we had pictures of them here.
An area now facing...
First of all, some of those guys you could just tell. You could tell this. Maybe all of them. Caesar, arguable. But Barney, I would not want to be seated next to that guy at the DMV. Not at all. Jonica? No, thank you. Not crossing a street with him. I don't know. But the big thing here is it just makes me think, like, you know, how soon before just all Ubers are AI? With this type of crap happening? It's, if you're a female and you're taking ride shares at night, would you rather risk it if it's 4 rideshare drivers in the same city doing this stuff, or just take an AI car that's definitely not going to sexually assault you? I would go with the AI robot car. 100%. If I were a drunk female trying to go home at night. So if Uber drivers were worried about their jobs before, probably the sexual assault's not helping the industry. Maybe one of the main things that expedites the closure of the industry. All right, we might wrap it up a little bit early tonight. It's been a long day. I was just at work. I made a bunch of videos, so if you want to check out some of my shorts, they're over on... there were some good ones today. Good shorts for... by the way, I didn't realize, I filmed them on my lunch break in my car, you know? I always thought, before I started this whole social media thing, because this is relatively new to me, right? I wasn't really doing this at all, actually, a year and a half, 2 years ago. But anyways, that's a story for another time. But when I'd see people, in their cars filming videos and stuff for Instagram, I just always assumed, they were trying to do a cool car shot. I just assumed they, set it up oh, let's get a car shot, and that just looked best to them or something. And now I realize, No, all those people were broke. They just have day jobs. Because like me, it's like I wouldn't prefer to film in my car, but it's the only place I've got on my lunch break to film a quick video and then, you know, edit it and throw it up on social media. I'm literally in like a parking lot behind a Raising Cane's, like parked next to like there's like some shady spots where like all other people who have jobs and need to be somewhere else on their lunch break park, and it's all me and the same people, and they just see me yelling about politics with my windows rolled up every lunch day. So kind of funny. I forgot what I was saying. Any case, we'll do a couple jokes one more time if you're just joining. Let's get rid of the Twitter, and we'll do, this is literally 2 jokes, so, but I think they're pretty good. News jokes. Written fresh, hot and ready for you, like a Raising Cane's basket of chicken tenders. Well, Trump signed an executive order to reopen the asylum. I botched that the first time, too. I really need to read these over before I start them. Let's try one more time, or else I'm just going to bed. Well, Trump signed an executive order to reopen the asylums today. Yeah, and in Minnesota, 17 Somali-owned asylums popped up in the same building. Yeah. They're in Minnesota, so they should have plenty of Democrat clients there. And yet, there was no one there. No clients at all. Well, Don Lemon could be facing charges under the KKK Act, or as the KKK is currently known, BLM. Yeah. Long and storied history of racism, or anti-racism, as they would call it. To be honest, I'm not sure that BLM is currently known. Do we know what happened to them? I haven't seen them since 2020. Those are my jokes for today. I think that's about it for the live stream. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the Substack newsletter. That one's kind of fun. You're going to get basically all my show notes, just the news stuff, right? So you can go through like what happened, like what's big in the news. Every morning you'll get it. Brief yourself on the day, and then I'll also do articles here and there. And then if you're one of the fancy paid subscribers, you get the Q&As. You get to ask me anything. It's like a little date. Just me and you, unless you're a dude. But probably still I would do that for $5 a month. I'm like Chris Cuomo over here. All right. It was good seeing you guys. Have a good rest of your night, and I will see you tomorrow, 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.